Zach Brown Band, it's Wall to Wall Country, Walls 102, the Morning Doghouse. 19 minutes after 8 o'clock in the morning, we got Kelly Williams in the studio with us. We were talking about some of the stuff she has accomplished as an obstacle course racer. 7th overall woman in the Chicago Spartan, right there.
Last year, yep.
Yeah, I mean, top 10 is amazing, right? I mean, honestly, that is amazing. That's the one. I think, is the Spartan the most well-known of the obstacle course races?
I would say Spartan and Tough Mudder. They're the top two companies or brands.
Yeah, those are the two that I know off the top of my head.
Yes.
Right. Well, and I know the Warrior Dash too, and then I see you post things all the time of other ones that I don't know anything about. But.
And there's a lot of local and small races too.
So what is a typical training day for you?
I'll kind of go through a typical training week.
Okay. All right. What's a typical training week for you?
A typical training week for me is about 40 miles of running. Not on one day, but
I was going to say a day. Oh my gosh.
Okay, so like 4 different days of 10 miles. Is that how you split it up?
No, it'll be different. There'll be shorter runs, focusing on either speed or a slower paced aerobic run, and then 1 day of a long run.
And what's a long run to you?
Right now, I'm doing about 2 hours and 45 minutes for my long run. So mileage isn't per se the goal, it's the time on my feet.
Okay, but 2 hours and 45 minutes on your feet is about how far?
On a flat surface, about 20 miles.
About 20 miles.
Do you prefer to do like treadmill stuff, or do you actually go out like around towns and stuff and trails?
I definitely prefer the trails.
Yeah.
But around here, that's tough. That's tough, right?
It's hard to find the elevation to practice on that I need for a lot of the races.
I know everybody always says run the canal, but the canal is flat.
Very flat.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very flat. Yeah. So where do you find the hills? Where are your hills at?
Well, I usually start on Water Street.
All right.
And then you run north and you do it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
I'll also run the IBCC hill.
Okay.
I might add like a weight vest or a sandbag when I'm running up and down those.
You wait.
Yeah.
Back up a second. So you run the IBCC hill.
Yes.
And that's not enough. You put a weight vest on.
That's correct.
So how much weight is on the weight vest?
The weight vest is only about 12 pounds, but occasionally I'll do like a 25 to 30 pound sandbag and run with it as well.
Yeah, but after 20 miles, that's got to feel pretty heavy.
You definitely can't do that for 20 miles. That's, a half a mile at a time. Those sorts of things. Yeah,
right.
you'd hurt yourself if you did that.
So 40 miles of running, some of it with a weight vest, some of it aerobic training, some of it sprint training, some of it up massive hills, the biggest hills you can find. The one from Water Street is ridiculous.
Yeah.
By the way, all right. So what else?
Well, besides running is your basic thing for obstacle course racing.
Okay.
And then you have to have a strength component as well.
I was going to say, don't you have to have like arm strength?
Absolutely.
You have to do like monkey bars type things and
Grip
stuff.
Strength is probably the second most important thing besides running and obstacle course racing. Grip strength overhead and grip strength like carrying things.
Okay.
A lot of times you'll carry sandbags, you'll carry buckets, logs, all sorts of different implements you have to carry up and down hills or over walls, different things like that.
Right.
So I will do about 3 days a week of strength training as well.
How do you get grip strength? What do you do to make your hands stronger?
Lots and lots and lots of things. You can do things as simple as monkey bars over and over again, but the key to it is changing the way you hold on to an implement. So you can't just have an overhand grip. You can't just have like a chin up underhand grip. You have to have like a rope climbing type of grip.
Okay.
And then you'll carry things. I might carry things using towels. I'll carry things using a rope. I'll carry a dumbbell in an odd way.
I've seen her do this, by the way, in a video. Instead of doing pull-ups, you threw a towel over the pull-up bar, held onto the towel, and did pull-ups holding on to each end of a towel.
Yes.
Is that pretty common thing for you?
I have different things that I'll hang off of monkey bars, like ropes and pipes and odd-shaped things. Looks like a softball or a baseball. We use different hand grips that way to do pull-ups.
So at this point, you scared me. This is way more than I could possibly do.
It's fun.
It is
fun.
I know. We're gonna talk to you in a bit about how we can get healthier and get into this type of stuff. All right. But before that, we've got a game to play. The Brothers Country Supply sound effects game is coming up. Can you help us out with that?
Absolutely.
All right. It's Walls 102. Blake Shelton, guy with a girl. It's Wall to Wall Country, Walls 102. It's the Morning Doghouse, 8:26 in the morning. It's time for us to play the Brothers Country Supply sound effects game. Here's how it works. We play a sound effect for you. You give us a call and tell us, in this case, What is the Marvel superhero?
Yeah, in honor of
that we're
Infinity
playing?
War being released and making a huge hit in the box office, we're doing Marvel movies all this week. And so today we've got another good one for you.
And you know what? I was just thinking a hint is actually that Kelly Williams is in the studio with us. That's a pretty good hint for today's, right? All right, so here we go. What Marvel superhero is this?
We need you to come in.
Are you kidding? I'm working.
This takes precedence.
I'm in the middle of an interrogation. This moron is giving me everything.
You know who that is? You
I
know
can
who
just
it
tell
is?
by the voice, yeah, exactly who that is.
Even I know who that is.
Yeah. Do you know who it is the question. Give us a call. The number 815-224-2480. 815-224-2480. It's Walls 102.
We need you to come in.
Are you kidding? I'm working.
This takes precedence.
I'm in the middle of an interrogation. This moron is giving me everything.
It is Wall to Wall Country, Walls 102. It's the Morning Doghouse. We got Shane on the line with us this morning. How you doing this morning, Shane?
Doing great.
You got big weekend plans, bud?
Yeah, I'm hoping to enjoy some nice weather.
Yeah, well, Saturday is looking to be perfect. Yeah, have you seen Infinity Wars yet?
That is one of my goals, probably maybe this
I
weekend.
was going to
This
say, I'm going to
weekend.
see it on Sunday.
All right, okay. Did you hear the clip of a superhero?
Yes,
All right, who do you think it is?
that is Black Widow, played by Scarlett Johansson.
Well, look at that. You know who
Easy
who played.
one.
You didn't need Kelly's help whatsoever in this, Kelly.
I
Yeah.
was hoping to help you out, Shane.
All right, bud. You are a winner. You stay on the line for us, okay?
Thank you.
Alan Jackson, Jimmy Buffett. It's Wall to Wall Country. Walls 102. It is the Morning Doghouse. We got Kelly Williams in the studio. I was going to ask her what we can do to get in shape, but she started talking to us here in the studio about how far you push yourself in some of these races. I want to talk about that first. So you were talking about, so I mean, all right, some of these races you're going 8 hours. You're going ridiculous mileage. You said you're doing a race later this year, 24 hours.
Yes, that is my goal this year.
How do you keep your wits about you? After, I mean,
your
an
mindset.
hour in, aren't you kind of starting to fade around? You know?
The most important thing is the discipline of preparation for races like this.
Okay.
So you have to put yourself in super uncomfortable situations for hours on end regularly. Yes, whether it's cold water immersion, running in the middle of the night.
So you don't just go out when it's snowing. You literally like fill your tub with water and ice and jump in?
Absolutely. Because some of these races, it might get down to 40 or 50 degrees at night, and then they submerge you in water continuously. And if your body isn't prepared for that cold, even if you're wearing a wetsuit, you could get hypothermia, and then your race is over.
Yes.
I just feel like doing those races, you would really learn a lot about yourself of what you can do and accomplish.
Absolutely. And then
And it's good things you learn about yourself.
Yeah, like
Yes,
it's
it-
tougher than you thought.
Absolutely, yes. I've learned a lot about myself over the years with obstacle course racing. And that's the one thing with a sport like this or any type of challenging athletics is that it kind of bleeds into other things in your life that you know that you can overcome them or do them because, wow, I've done something a lot harder.
Yeah. Well, obviously. I mean, if you're carrying in the groceries, people are like, oh, I've got to carry in 4 bags of groceries. Not an issue for you.
No,
right?
it's not. No.
A little bit of stress at work, not an issue.
No.
I mean, you can still think.
Absolutely. Yes. So the mental preparation for some of those longer endurance events,
Probably the hardest part. Like the physical stuff you can work on, the mental, I think, is the hardest part to overcome.
it is. That's what breaks some people. So I've been training for years for these sorts of things. And
Sure.
obviously not all races are these lengthy 12 and 24-hour things. But that is what my next challenge is, these endurance races.
Push yourself even further.
Absolutely.
All right. Next time we will. Next time we talk to her, which is coming up in just a minute, we will ask her what you can do. It's Walls 102.
I drive to work.
Brad Young, it's Wall to Wall Country, Walls 102, the Morning Doghouse, 8:48 in the morning. Still coming later on in the show, Jason Aldean tickets. If you're listening earlier in the show and you know the 3 songs, well, you could be a winner of Jason Aldean tickets. Just stick around. Kelly Williams in the studio with this show. The fittest woman I know, and people are listening specifically for this reason. What can they do to get fit?
What can they do to get fit? Well, the first thing is knowing, honestly, where you're starting from.
Okay.
Knowing what you've been doing for the last 6 months. If it's nothing, then you got to start pretty slow. Whether it's simply just walking, bike riding. Summer's coming, so the weather's nicer. So this is a time when people really want to get back into shape. But the biggest thing is not going too hard too fast, because then a lot of times people either get burnt out or get injured. So starting off slow and then Your second thing, no matter what you're doing, is being consistent with it. Whether it's walking, bike riding, running, lifting weights, you have to do it consistently.
What's
all the time.
consistently? Like, is it every day? Is it every other day? Is it?
To start off with, you want to do some type of activity for at least a half hour every day.
Every day.
Yeah. If you start getting into more intense workouts, that's something you want to do about 3 times a week.
Okay. But if you're just walking and running every day.
You can do that every day, absolutely.
Yeah, I've been told it takes like 2 weeks to start or break a habit.
Yeah, sometimes longer than that, but it's even if you do something every day, you still have to make sure that you're not ramping up something so fast. And things start to hurt, you need to step back and slow down.
Like I know I get shin splints when I run.
Right. So you're somebody that would have to start off even a little bit slower, walk around, do more stretching, those sorts of things to help combat that.
Years ago, when I was getting in shape, I looked things up on the internet, and almost every bit of advice, this is something I found, every bit of advice on the internet assumed that you were already in some kind of shape.
Yes, it does.
And you're like, no, I'm not. I'm just starting.
The advice is for runners. So, the advice is for somebody who's already kind of into it. Your advice is before you do any of that is to start just moving yourself.
Yeah, basically moving. Because if you sit for 8 hours a day in your cubicle at your job and you haven't done anything.
Like this studio.
Like what we do.
Don't try to go run 3 miles tonight because you'll regret it. Things are going to hurt and you're going to be like, that wasn't worth it. So you start off slowly and do it with people that you have fun with. Get a training partner, get a running partner, or someone who at least talks to you about it every night. So someone that's as excited as you are about exercising. Yes.
Sure, someone who will keep you on track as well.
Absolutely.
All right.
Those are key.
We'll talk about what to eat in just a minute.
Okay.
Okay. All right. It's coming up. It's Walls 102. It's Wall to Wall Country, Walls 102, the Morning Doghouse. Couple of minutes in front of 9 o'clock in the morning. We're going to talk to Kelly Williams one more time. She's our obstacle course racer. Finished 7th overall woman in the Spartan in Chicago 2 years in a row.
Yes.
Last year and the year before.
Yeah.
Just putting some qualifications out there for you if you're just joining us. So, all right, we were going to talk about what do you eat. Let's not diss any food. Let's just say what we do eat. What do we eat to be healthy?
What we eat to be healthy is definitely shouldn't come out of like a box or have a lot of preservatives and stuff in it. So, your natural foods, and everybody hears this, your fruits and vegetables and grains.
Sure.
You shouldn't be afraid of any food group, though. That I will say that. Don't be afraid of carbohydrates. Those sorts of things. So, when you do things like obstacle course racing.
So we don't avoid fats. We don't avoid carbohydrates.
No, because your body needs all of those things to perform at its best.
Okay.
They have to be in certain ratios for certain body compositions and for certain performance aspects of it.
Okay.
So
what would a normal person's composition be for fats, proteins, carbohydrates, stuff like that? A third?
No, you're going to have more. You want to have more proteins than carbohydrates than fat. It kind of goes down that way. And it's very individual for people, so I don't like to give huge amounts of nutrition advice that way. You definitely want to talk to a registered dietitian for that.
Okay.
But the biggest thing is not avoiding those food groups that you see in some of the fad diets. You might lose weight really fast with those things, but it's hard to sustain that type of lifestyle. Like, you can't go out and have fun with your friends when you can only eat almonds and, I don't know,
mushrooms or something. Yeah.
Right. I remember an interview I saw with Sylvester Stallone, and he was getting ready for a Rocky movie, and he said that he wasn't eating carbohydrates just for a scene because he knew he would lose the weight and get slim.
Yes.
But he said he had the intellectual power of a clothespin, I think is what he said.
Yes, your brain works on fats and carbohydrates, all those sorts of things. They make your brain function. So that's why, and sometimes in these long distance races, people they don't even know their name because they're not nutritionally sound at that point.
They've
burned all their glycogen stores. They're gone. So nutrition is hugely important to fuel your body for what you're going to do.
Okay, so
that's a huge thing with that.
Fruits, vegetables.
Lots of protein.
Protein.
Yes, for lean muscle mass, protein is huge. So
meat's okay?
Absolutely, meat's okay. You want to have things that aren't super fatty or high sodium. Like
nuts and mushrooms, beans, eggs.
Yes, and you can be a vegan and still accomplish the protein content, but it just doesn't have the same amino acid complex as meat does.
But I can still have a steak?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. All right.
Carve
hey,
off the
there
fat
we go.
on it. No. Yes, you can still have a steak.
All right, there we go. Well, thanks for coming in. It's
You're-
super cool having you on here.
Thank you for having me. This
That's
was
super
awesome.
interesting.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
It's Walls 102.
What's so